Hi there, I'm Johnny Lieberman from MotorTrend, and today is a big day. Why? Because we're about to drive a new 911. Every time Porsche introduces a 911, it's always followed by a bit of controversy. Like for instance, with the 993 going to the 996, suddenly it was water-cooled, brand betrayal, that was the end of the 911. But actually they were pretty good. 997 was even better. Then the 991, they added turbocharging instead of natural aspiration. Oh, it was horrible. Turned out it was pretty good. Then the 992, it got 1 inch longer and gained 60 pounds. That was the end. Actually, hey, it turned out the car was okay. However, the 992.2, this might actually be the end because this is a hybrid. That's right, Porsche has electrified the 911. Is it any good? Well, we're gonna find out, but before we do, we're actually gonna jump into the base car, the Carrera, and that still has a 3-liter twin turbo, flat 6, no hybridization, makes 388 horsepower. It's up about 9 horsepower from the previous one. We'll see how that drives. Then we're gonna get into a hardtop version of this, the GTS, which again has a hybrid system. It has a new 3.6-liter single electric turbo motor with a 1.9 kilowatt hour battery and makes 532 combined system horsepower. Is it the end? Is this sacrilege? Should you burn your Porsche shirts? Let's find out. 911 Carrera, rear drive, PDK only, no manual. Yeah, I mean, it's a 911. It's pretty carryover like we talked about. Basically for the Carrera, what they did was they added a lot more standard features, so you can sort of think of it as a Carrera GTS if you want to, just because a lot of stuff that was optional before is now standard, although the price has gone way up. It's a very balanced car. I mean, for where I'm sitting, it's pretty good. It's 388 horsepower. In 2024, that's not a ton of horsepower, but it's by no means bad. And yeah, I mean, it's a 911. Yes, a GT3 is going to be better on a track. What on the market compares to a 911? And Porsche's kind of got this whole sports car thing figured out and cornered. Is it drastically different than, the 992.1? No, no, not at all. Still sounds pretty good for a twin turbo 3-liter pancake 6, flat 6. Can't wait to see the difference between the hybrid and this one. GTS, this is a rear drive GTS, so 532 horsepower, 3.6 liter with a single turbo, but the single turbo is fascinating because it's an electric turbo. So the battery actually sends power to the turbocharger and it keeps it pre-boosted. And when we're in Sport Plus, as I'm regenning, the regenerative braking from the e-motor is sending power to the battery. Yeah, even when it's shifting gears, the e-motor is still spinning, so you're still accelerating during gear shifts, and it's pretty incredible the way that the system works. You would never know it's a hybrid unless they told you. It has nothing that gives it away. It doesn't have an electric only mode or anything like that. It's just for performance. It works brilliantly, and it's very simple. From my perspective as a driver, it's insanely complicated if you're an engineer. Comparison to the base car, Carrera, I mean, night and day in terms of performance. It's so much quicker. That's 216 kilometers an hour in the Carrera. I think I saw 202, something like that. And again, I'm talking, not going flat out. So yeah, just a much quicker vehicle. 0 to 60 is going to actually be under 3 seconds, and again, the rear drive. And steering is sharper because it has better tires. The braking is incredible. what a great car. I'm trying to think of things I don't like. Like, you know, we drove the all-wheel drive one a little bit, and the steering's not nearly as nice as the two-wheel drive. But you know what? That's been true for a long time. The power is great. The power delivery is great. Yeah, boy. All right, sacrilegious. Have they ruined the 911? No, it's fantastic. Yeah, this is probably what everyone really wants from a GTS. It is a comfortable daily sports car that you can rip around a track. I mean, just flying in this thing. And you can do track stuff with it. And the brakes are really strong. And the turning is great. And you can get on power and you have, you know, anti-lag essentially. Torque fill. It's got an electric turbocharger that spins at 100,000 RPM, which is pumping 20 PSI into the motor. And it's just incredible. And it really does sound pretty good for a turbo. Final thoughts. There's really no downside. You might say, well, it's a little bit more weight, but if you're on an internet forum, there's all the downsides in the world. Here in reality, meaning you're actually on a track driving the car, on a canyon road driving the car, it's amazing. They've really done a wonderful job. You know, Angus McKenzie, his ultimate praise for a car is, I would have one. And not to sound just like Angus, but I'd have one. Yeah, I would have a Carrera GTS.